Hello everyone, it's Tower here from TD Aesthetics. Today I'm doing a video to show you the action of hyaluronidase, or as better known, Hyalase, to dissolve dermal fillers in case of a vascular occlusion. In previous videos I talked about how dermal fillers can actually, if inadvertently injected into a blood vessel, they can actually block the flow of blood through that blood vessel. So in the case that this happens during the dermal filler treatment, then your practitioner should always have vials of Hyalase to hand, along with saline to dissolve the Hyalase with, so that they can immediately dissolve and break down the dermal filler, blocking the blood vessel, and thus allow blood flow to continue unimpeded. So I'm just going to show you using some dermal filler left over from treatments. This has not been injected into a person, it is just what's left in the syringe, and I thought it would be useful to show you the action. So this is some leftover Stellage Lips dermal filler, which is a fairly firm filler but very dynamic and very easy to inject. As you can see, it's just been squirted out of the syringe there. And this is 2 mils of saline, which I'm now going to inject into a vial of freeze-dried hyaluronidase. And this, I'm just using a 2 ml dilution. When I actually inject hyaluronidase, I follow quite precise protocols from a group known as Aesthetics Complications Expert Group, which give advice and just general sort of how to use hyaluronidase in emergency situations and also for situations of poor aesthetic correction. So typically Hyalase needs to be used with care because for example, if someone has an allergy to bee stings, you would be very careful when using something like Hyalase to dissolve dermal fillers in case of an occlusion, because the same venom that causes a massive anaphylactic reaction in someone who's allergic to bee stings is also present in Hyalase. So you don't want to inject Hyalase into that person because you could actually end up with a massive hypersensitivity reaction or anaphylaxis, leading to problems with breathing, so much bigger problems than a cosmetic correction. Okay, so this is the diluted Hyalase. I'm just going to squirt it now into the container of filler. So you can see I'm keeping the needle on because I'm going to just, as I'm squirting, you can see the Hyalase actually starting, if I can just show you, to dissolve the filler. So you can see the filler, which was just one big lump, is now turning into a liquid because the Hyalase, as you can see here, don't know if you can see that without it tipping over completely. There you go. The Hyalase has basically turned it from a gel into a much more pliable liquid. So you can see there that you can see it dripping out actually. So you can see there that the gel, which would normally stop the flow of blood in a blood vessel, once you inject Hyalase into that area, that gel is broken down and you can actually start to see liquid move. You can see the dripping. So liquid can move through that blood vessel because the Hyalase is actually stopping the dermal filler's cohesivity. So it's breaking it down and turning it back into liquid and allowing blood flow through that impeded blood vessel. But as I've mentioned, Hyalase comes with its own risks in use. So when you go to a practitioner and they reassure you that if there's a problem, if you don't like it, we can just dissolve it, you need to think very carefully about using Hyalase without an emergency situation, because it actually can bring its own problems later down the line. So Hyalase is there for use in an emergency. It's not there for use if you decide that you actually don't like the lip filler in your lips. These discussions should be taking place before the needle is actually applied to your lips, so you actually know what kind of results you should expect. You should be talking to your practitioner about the kind of methods they're going to be using. You should be talking to them about the kind of filler they're going to be using. You should be talking to them about what kind of results you should be expecting. So none of this should be a surprise once you've finished the treatment and you actually see the final result. Hyalase is there, but only for emergency use only. I hope this was helpful, and I hope it clarifies some points about how filler can be dissolved and why it should be dissolved. If you have any other questions, by all means, have a look at my website, www.tdaesthetics.com. Have a look at my YouTube channel and catch me on my socials on Facebook and Instagram. It's been great talking to you guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye now.